Hope you're all doing good, right? Great. Okay, this is funny here. Um, and I have a total of 15 plus years of experience working internationally. I was in US for the last 11 years plus, and I was in UK before that. Finally, I reached back to my home country and started my um, own company focusing on AI and machine learning. We are doing good on projects. And coming to my education, I completed my graduation in 2004 from JNTU Hyderabad, and then while working, I completed my master's from the prestigious University of Louisville, and I was also doing my PhD at the time. So that is pretty much it. I'll keep it short. Let's go ahead and get it started. Okay, just a minute. Hope you're all doing great, right? And happy Friday. Okay, just give me a minute. So as Sandesh has informed you, we'll discuss about what is data science and what is a roadmap and what are your responsibilities, how responsible a data scientist to be. Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start without any delay. Okay, so there are a couple of things I want to add to you. I mean, I don't want to give too much exaggeration with the day one, but I'll go slow. We'll discuss good stuff, and we'll see what best we can cover, and I'll see what how the roadmap looks like for TFA if the time permits, or else it can be taken up tomorrow too. Okay, so I'll go slowly. Let me toggle this display settings. Okay, there you go. So hope you're all able to hear me, right? No audio? Are you not able to hear me? Hello guys, able to hear you. So Aarti, can you rejoin if you are not able to hear me? Okay. So let's go ahead and enjoy, guys. So again, this is funny. Welcome to the workshop on data science and AI for the beginners. It is not just for the beginners, of course. It's for any level of people. So I have a request for my side, from my side, listen actively and attentive. I'm open for questions. If I can't answer it, generally I will answer the questions at the logical end of the discussion. Okay, be on mute. The questions will be taken at the logical end of the topic. That's what I was telling. Okay, raise your hand, drop a message. No need to raise a hand. You can drop a message. We'll go ahead and discuss with the questions. Ganesh, not audible. I think I'm audible to most of the people. Ganesh, probably can you check your audio or rejoin again? That would be better. I know there will be some hiccups, initial hiccups. So respect others' time and we won't play. Of course, we all do that. Okay. Now, the agenda, as we discussed, what is data science? Okay, I have a couple of things I'll share with you, and AI projects, how they do look like, and what is your responsibilities, and how elite you people are when it comes to the data science roles. Okay, So role of the data analysis, machine learning and deep learning data. This is all project pipelines. We'll discuss that in I know it's very early to discuss this all in detail, so I'll just give you some idea and leave it there. Okay. Yeah, roadmap to become the data scientist. That is important. So where it all starts, basically, not only for data science, but for anybody. And as we are discussing about the data science, where it all starts, it all starts with a problem, right? There are numerous problems out there. Don't think that so many people are already big hands of data scientists and can we do it or not? You name it, there is a problem. We are at very weak stage of AI. AI is just evolving. If you talk about deep learning, it is it just started 10 years back. Okay, before that there was no deep learning concept. The neuron concept and all came very recently. Is it the problem with everybody? Why there is echo? I'm in a closed room. Is it clear? It's perfect. Yeah, a couple of people it is perfect. If it is echo, it should happen to everybody, right, Gopinath? Thank you, Mani. No, I don't think it is so close. It is what? Okay. It is the same. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah, I know it happens. We are all working remotely, right? So these kind of challenges happens. Okay. So now coming to the problem statement, can you people throw a problem statement? What do you think out there is a problem? Any problem statement? An error on work. A good point, right? Okay. So can we rectify that using AI? Yes, you can. Any social problems? Any social problems? Automatic surgeries, potholes, bad traffic sense, right? Name it. Are these solved problems? No, they are not solved. Take any other problem. Take any problem. See, when I say take any problem, that means there is no solution for it, right? Otherwise, it would not have been a problem, right? So take anything and you can build a use case and solve it using AI. Most of the cases, I'm saying, okay. So you will probably AI can't make a person go die and back to work, right? But there are many things where it can make human life happy, including your mom. If you buy a automatic vacuum cleaner to your mom, she would be more than happy than anybody else rather than sweeping, right? Okay, so it starts with the problem statement. Take any problem statement. Okay, so cancer. Can we predict the cancer well in advance? Can we predict the explosion or the failure of a nuclear reactor well in advance? You save lives, right? You save lives. So these all things are definitely a problem statement on the social side. On the commercial side, there are many, not only social side, commercial side, you name it, it's a, you can build on it. It's a problem, you can build on it. I mean, not everything needs to be a problem, but probably you may think that is a better weather forecasting. Yes, weather forecasting, very important problem. Why? Because you can stop the farmer suicides. Identifying the fake seeds, right? So everything, there is a lot of scope. There is a lot of scope for you to work upon. Okay. But the challenge is, if you have a problem statement, that is not enough. What do you think is needed? Not only, forget about data science, for anything you want to solve the problem, what is that you needed? You need a lot of relevant data, right? There is a lot of relevant data is needed. Then only you can understand the problem well, thoroughly, right? Are you all with me, guys? Do you people agree with me? Awesome, right? Okay. And the data out there is not just a clean and refined data, and as if Pawan is Muhammad is working on that one, and we can, yes, we are ready for Pawan or Muhammad. Yes, take this data and do your analysis. No, data is worst out there. Okay, it has lot of incorrect values, lot of inconsistency in the data. What is that you have to do? You have to cleanse that. You have to clean that data and keep it ready for your analysis, right? Once it is done, what is the next one? MVP. You know what is MVP? Are you people interested in sports and games? Right? Do you watch American football? Yes, most valuable player, right? Yes, most valuable. Very nice, very nice. I don't know any of the games has it or not. I think basketball and American football has most valuable player. But here it is most viable product. Okay, most viable product. So what does it mean by most viable product? I mean, it need not exactly solve the problem for every instance. It can at least solve the problem for some instances and try a working model. You can say the working model or prototype. Okay, that is the first step. Then you can build it as a extensive product. Okay, and deployment and enhancement. So first you start with the most viable product, you deploy it, and let's see how it is working. Example is Tesla. Do you think Tesla is overnight product? Do you think Tesla is an overnight product? No, right? It is a years together of analysis, years together of hard work. So what they do, first they build the most viable product. They don't put it on the streets. Okay, they don't kill the people. They just put it on somewhere on testing trial, which means that when I say trial means the way path. Okay, and they will see how it is working. Then you'll take it to the next level, some small roads. Okay, with the driver monitoring it. Okay, there will be a simple deployment. What is that called? Deployment. In our case, you can say deployment is an app into App Store also. It's not that you get an Apple iPhone 12 Pro today, right? It starts with iPhone 3. You remember iPhone 3, how it looks like? Okay, so from there it started. So you productionalize it and take the reviews, take the comments, think through that, rework, redesign. That is what you call enhancement. It is not just with AI, but for every product. But AI has more scope for it because AI is a heuristic models. What does it heuristic means? Self-learning. Self-learning. Okay. So if you get a robo vacuum cleaner, it takes some time to understand your house. Okay. Once it understands everything, it just sweeps every day the whole house and goes back to the charging station on its own and get itself plugged to the charging station. Okay, understand? So then you go for your data science operations, right? Once you deploy, obviously that is what you start your operation. So once you deploy and enhance, you slowly start moving your first version of Tesla or your robo vacuum cleaner or your automatic surgery. Understand how interesting it is, and then again you find a problem statement in that one. So it is an iterative process. It is not just you did something and you left it. Okay, it is an iterative process. What is going on here? Again, problem statement, again, data investigation, cleansing, again, you repeat that process. Understand, guys? So problem definition, where it starts, the problem definition, it starts with every great scientist say the same thing, right? Why? Okay, why? Is the data science a right solution? Okay, there might be some simple solution also. Don't data science works, okay? Data science works, but it is like क्या बोलते हैं? I mean, if you are people knows Hindi, I don't know exact word in my language. There is something called I mean, on the sparrow, you don't put the missile, right? You don't need a missile for a sparrow. So sometimes you don't overwhelm the solution also. So you have to analyze, right? You understand what I'm trying to say here? Can I hold on here for a second and see if you are you all with me? Good. Okay. Yes. So again, I'm saying there can be simpler solutions also. Don't just because we are data scientists, don't think everything will be a data science solution. Data science solution may work, but it will be overwhelming sometimes. Okay. See if the data science really suits that problem. Okay, and expensive. So right at this point. And what is the role of the data science? Okay. And then once you implement that one, help the stakeholders. Who is the stakeholder? If you really ask when you're doing a project, who is a stakeholder? Don't think that who invested money is only the stakeholder. Okay, every person is a stakeholder. Your project manager, you, his manager, the business people, and who are getting results and who are executing, who are key in executing the project. They are all called stakeholders. So if you talk about communication, everything has to be transparent and needs to be informed to all your stakeholders. Okay, so yeah, do you people understand? Can I move ahead? So if you see here, we discussed about next point. Let's discuss about next point. Okay, data investigation and cleaning. Okay, so what is the data investigation and cleaning? First, say for example, I'll take a small example, guys. Okay, say for example, yours is a new electronic company. Okay, new electronic company, complete company. You have all the products, and you want to build a chatbot for that one. Okay, chatbot. What is a chatbot? You ask the question, it answers, right? Instead of the representative. You people know what is chatbot? Automatical chats, right? And the chatbots are not so so sophisticated nowadays, but we are there. Slowly we are moving there. We can get the chatbot such that they answer like a human being. But your company is a new electronics company. So what chatbots need? Chatbot is a data science, which means data science application, right? AI application. What does it mean? It needs a lot of data to understand what you are saying. So you may ask for, hey, 12 volts capacitor. Is it with you or not? What is 12 volts? What is capacity? It won't understand, right? So for that one, it needs to be trained on huge data, which is called corpus. When I talked about NLP, okay, we use a term called corpus. Corpus is a huge data. And what is this corpus? Where do you get this corpus? We can get this electronic corpus from some of the providers who provide this corpus. They did a lot of research and build this corpus. They get PhD also on building this corpus. One good corpus is Brown, from the Brown University. They had a good, you can Google it if you want. the corpus from Brown University. It is completely for electronics. It has different genres, but electronics is one of the key genre where they did lot of research and provided the corpus. So once you take the data and train your model so that your chatbot, which is an application of that one, will understand. Yes, oh, okay, 12 volts, 12 volts capacitor. Okay, 24 volts capacitor. It knows what is present or not. Okay, it knows what it is. So the data source, identify data source. Machine learning is not a magic. It is purely data driven, sophisticated algorithms. Okay, if you don't have a proper data, your algorithms, it doesn't matter what you write in the algorithm, they don't work. The main key ingredient is like a salt in the curry. The key ingredient is the data. Rest all are apart. Okay, is the data readily available? No, not many cases. In the case what I said, yes, it is available, but for most of the problems, you may not get the data. So what is that you have to do? You have to combine different data sources. Some data from here, some data from there. If you take any farmers plant disease things, same disease may happen since long time, probably somewhere in Uganda. Okay, and in India probably you may not have a lot of data, so you have to combine this data and that data. Okay, and try to understand the plant disease, which helps the farmer, right? And storing the data, nowadays it's not a big deal, you know, where to store, the cloud is there, so we are good with that one, right? Do you all agree with me? So storing your data is not at all a challenge nowadays. It's cheaper too. Okay, but the challenge is how you to store the data that such that it is available to the machine learning right on time. So it is a machine learning algorithm which may run once a day, twice a day, or once a week, thrice a week, something like that. It's as per the schedule. Okay, so making that data viable and available. Viable in the sense, as we told, cleaning, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't put the proper data into the machine learning, you get a very utter bad results. So you have to make the data available and viable to the machine learning. So what is the role of the data scientist? So what do you think? Okay, in this whole process, where are you? The primary role at this point. Okay, and I'm telling you guys, you have a lot of roles. Okay, you are the best elite people. Why I will tell you. I'm not going to leave it just like that. Right? What is that you have to focus upon is your role starts in identifying the data sources. If you are fortunate enough, you may have data sources readily available, and which is the case in most of the cases, because there is a client and he will provide the data source. But if you go out and want to swim on your own, okay, data sets is a big scarcity. You may not have the data. Of course, there are free data sources, but if you really want to solve the real-time issue, okay, you have to collect the data, right? Then your problem starts, your responsibility starts. Then if the data is so huge, you may have to work with data engineers to create the data lakes and combine the data, massage the data from the different data sources and try to correct to his best before it actually comes to a data scientist. Okay, once the data is with data scientist, you can't expect the data engineer does every magic for you. Data engineer's job is like to try to balance the structure of the data between the different data sources. Okay, in other words, like which field the data has to be mapped. Like in a SAP, in most of the things you map the data. So this is the data and to which field it has to map. Okay, or in one of the data sources there are only five features, and another data source, a similar data source, there are 10 features. So what is that you have to do for the next 5 features? When I say features, don't get confused, I am talking about the columns, like your Excel column. Say for example, some of the features like height, weight, okay, and age, like that. If there are 3 features for the similar results in another data source, you may have more features: height, weight, age, and also your income. They may add something like that, you never know. So what should happen when one data source has more features, which means more fields, and the other data source has less features, means less fields? Okay, so there will be some decisions, these kind of things the data engineer do, who works closely with you. Once the data comes to you, you have to do little extensive and very nice analysis, okay, with all the descriptive statistics and inferential statistics also if needed, and get the hold of the data, understand the data first, and then you will automatically know what you have to do with the data, how to deal with the data. There comes the data cleansing. Understand, guys? Any questions so far? Good. So in short, to summarize that, you have to identify the data, you have to cleanse the data such that your machine learning models don't stumble when they see the data. Clear, guys? That is as simple as that. Okay, I don't give a big preference to storing the data because it's not a matter of fact nowadays. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, what is MVP? We discussed that, right? So let's not put more time on it. Most viable model or most viable product. How do you get the most viable product or the most viable model? Again, as we told you, it is not one for the night. It is like you keep on doing it. You keep on doing it. You try to collect the more data, and try to validate how the output looks like. Okay, how the model is performing. One second. Okay, so now, one second, guys. I'll clean this one. Okay, so once you get the clean data, you just have to check whether do we really need more data or not for the model's effectiveness. Okay, so how can we cleanse that data? That is your part anyway. So here, what is happening here? Here you get the understand the data, and here you start your data cleansing, and you will keep on doing till it is get more refined, and you feed the data to the machine learning, and if machine learning is stumbling with the data, and try to clean it more and see where the data is going, or we call it as a feature engineering, we may have to create new features. Okay, those all things we'll discuss, or which means that will work as part of this building the most viable product. Okay, so in this phase, what is the main role of the data scientist is he will try, test and validate. So your whole data, you will try to split into most of the times 2 parts, sometimes it will be 3 parts. Your first model, first data is a huge data set. Out of these 3 parts, one is, just give me a second, I will write it down for you. Okay, so it goes like this. So your whole data set, say for example, you have 1,000 records, 1,000 records. So some part will go for training and some part will go for validation and some part will go for testing. So first train, okay, valid and test. So it can be like 70 or 65. It can be 15. This can be how much? 20. It can be like this, 65%, 15% and 20%. Okay, so what you do is once first time, as you know, machine learning are data driven algorithms. So you train using this data. Okay, you tune your algorithm using this data. Then you will validate. Okay, then if possible, you will only test, or else you will give it to the testing team this data for it to be tested. So what happens here? You train and validate the model. If possible, you will only test if that there is a data separately available for testing team, or else you only use this testing team, give it to the testing team. Okay, anything is fine. It depends on how much data you have. So now the testing team will take this model and try to test on it with their data that is available to them. Okay, so you deploy your model into the testing environment. What is the testing environment? It is not a big deal, where probably if you talk about AWS, you will have different environments and different access levels. So you have a development environment. These two environments are logically separated, the development and test. So whatever code you developed here, it can be either your local on the server, but once you move it to the test, it will be on the server only. So tester won't have access to your code. He will only give the input, see the output. Do you agree with me, guys? You understand? You got a clear picture? Okay, so this part you can do this one here, or probably you can do in our next step also, where we are doing our deployment and enhancements. Okay, so this is just for your information. Do you really follow the same process? I mean, do you really need to buy hard something to follow this process? No, you don't need to remember anything. You once you get into the job, everything goes as per this flow. As per this flow. If it is a waterfall model, okay, it takes some time to develop the model. And if it is a your sprint planning, they go fast. Okay, you deploy your services very fast. Okay, so again, deployment and enhancements. What is that they say? Once you deploy, if you want to enhance, you may need more data, cleanse the data, explore the new modeling technique. What is this? Exploring the new modeling technique means? Here, let me ask you a question. Okay, is the data first or the machine learning? Is the data first? Data first or ML models came first? Data is first. Okay, what I mean by that is the data came into the world first. Okay, you talk about Facebook data, you talk about previous data where you take your railway ticket, that is also data, and coming to your Facebook data also is a data. So which comes first? The data came first to the world. Depending on that one, you build your modeling techniques, machine learning techniques, right, to understand the data and give some insights, business insights out of the data, right? So that process is called identifying different modeling techniques. I mean, I took at the extreme end, which means that if you want to develop a different modeling techniques or machine learning algorithms, okay, which may not need very often, but we can also call, like, if you want to try different algorithms to see which algorithm suits for your data, okay, those all things can become your modeling techniques. Understand? And this what I discussed here is little extreme version. Why? Because you have to understand the data and altogether write a different new algorithm out of blue, which is nowhere till date. Understand? Okay. Next one is enhance your data pipeline, means the way data flows. Also your machine learning pipeline, which means that how you want to make it more scalable. More scalable, okay, more rigid to the data, these kind of things. Okay, so this is what I was telling you, what role the data scientist is in this phase. Okay, so tuning the model parameters, as I told you, your modeling techniques. Writing a new machine learning algorithm is an extreme end of it, which I discussed with you. But most of the times you try with different models, machine learning models, and some of the models which you think are better, you'll try to tune them more such that your model gives the highest, the best performance. Okay. And now you will test your model on the border set, which is means like the remaining set of the data, and making the enhancements. When you make the enhancements, what does it mean? You test it. If the model performance is good, you will go with it. Else, you may have to go for some more analysis and enhancements of that model, either in terms of data or in terms of parameters tuning, or in terms of altogether choosing a different algorithm. Are you all with me? Do you understand what is this process now? Okay, and here I want to add one more real-time scenario point is sometimes once you deploy the data also, some upstream, which means that where the data is flowing through, it is not just from one point, right? It can be flow through different points. And say, for example, there is some enhancements that is done on their end, and that data, that new field has come up, and it may impact your model performance very widely, or it may fail your model running also. Why? Because the model is expecting 10 features, and because of some change at the upstream, there are 11 features coming up from the one fine morning. They forgot to communicate to you that you people are using our feature. Okay, using our new file, whatever they are creating, right? So that creates a problem. So these kind of the problems also will be handled as and when in the times of deployment. And then what you have to do, you have to down your model and bring it back to your local means in the dev environment, and enhance, rewrite your model such that the new field is also accommodated, and send it back to the production. Understand? Okay, that is important fact. It happens very often. You will remember me. You'll definitely remember me when you are stuck up with this kind of scenario in the future. Good so far? And last but not least, your data science operations. Productionize the model, monitor the data. This is what one of the, I mean, they all overlap each other. So this is what I was talking, right? Monitor your data, monitor model performance, ongoing model update, which means that how the model performance is it same the way we deployed, or is it hampering because of some reason during the time, because the data may change, the data may vary. Understand? So there are several reasons that your model performance may go down. Then you have to bring it back and tune it and redeploy it. And normally your security policies and access are, which are very important. Okay, time to time you have to see whether the securities there is any change in the securities or not. So what is the role of data scientists here? Can you people tell me? So you have to create some deployment packages, okay, which they are called like containers, packages and the containers. You put them in the containers, okay. Enable logging and monitoring tools on production. So you will have a run sheet, what all things you need to do before you really move to the move the code to the production. Make solution to the problem through analytics is at the starting of this one. Okay, so this is the like maintenance part of it. We are at the almost at the end of the we identify the solution, we developed the solution, we tested the solution. Okay, we saw how the we are good with the data, what is being available to us, we tune the parameters, then we are deployed the solution, and then this is the operations. What are all things the person he or she has to do once the model is deployed? Yes, create a model, test it, deploy successful model, keep it update from time to time. In short, this is what it is. Prashant, you are absolutely right. On top of it, there are many other things where you have to send the data to your data visualization teams, the Tableau or Power BI or ClickSense, which is my ClickView, right? These kind of things. That is also possible. Or if you can send the data using your microservices to your mobile apps, that is also one of the possible. It is not that you see the results every time on the server. You most of the times you connect it to the web, where it will be a real time. Once you run the model, it takes it to there. It takes it from there. Okay, guys. Nice. Okay. So then, if you are all good with it, I'll just tell you to some of the important things. Okay, what are those things? So what is the data science, right? This is the curious thing. We talked about how the operations and all. Okay, and before that, what is the data science basically? What is the neural science? To study about nerves and neurons, right? Neural system. Am I right in saying that? Yes. So, oh yes, y means yes, right? That is what I heard recently. Okay. We used to say y means y. Okay. Let me. Are you all clear with what we discussed so far? And do you want me to explain any of the part? Okay. So what is the data science? Analysis of the data, exactly. Take the control of the data. You should know what the data is. Yeah, I know, Prashant. Okay, recently I got to know about it. Okay. So the data should be able to talk to you and tell you that, yes, I am this one. See, I am not good. Please clean me. These kind of things. Okay. What is the data? Data is a raw, unprocessed information. Exactly, it is kind of information only. Very nice, guys, very nice. Okay, what is the data science? Knowing about this data and why the data science has got so importance nowadays. Do you see any specific reason? Okay, can I tell you one example? I don't know, like probably you are all young kids. Data everywhere. Aarti has right away hit the answer. Yes, to make everything automate. Yes, very good. Those are all very important point. Okay, on top of it, the simple solution or answer is you remember, do you remember any pre-website days? Pre-website days, what does it mean? The days not everybody has a website, not many schools has a website, not many businesses has a website, right? Now it has become a mandatory. Why? That has become a minimum measure to see who you are, right? Similarly, data science was there since long time. but there was no business benefits out of it. Okay, as Arti said, what happened over the period, the data has exponentially grown. So we just have for the past, we just the data which we have for the past 10 years or 15 years is equivalent to the data what we had 200 years back for the past 200 years. You understand? So it is growing exponentially due to the social media, due to the website, web applications, due to app applications, due to the soft teachings, right? So now this meeting is recorded, okay, probably 2 GB, 2 GB recording, right? It was not there till for the past before 1 hour, and definitely was not there. These kind of recordings were not there even when I joined my job, right? You understand what I'm trying to say, guys? A huge data. On top of it, thus data is adding the business benefits. It's giving a lot of money. It's giving a lot of money. If you are not implementing the data science solutions or AI solutions, you are losing the race as if you don't have a website. Similarly, exactly the same. Okay, if you want to run a consulting firm, if you are running an IT firm, the first thing they check is your website, right? If you don't have a website, they don't think they are your genuine. Okay, you talk a lot, but there is nothing significant, right? So your website is where you get the business. Same thing. If you are not implementing your AI in the many of the solutions, you are losing the race. You will fall behind the business. So everybody, what is happening is that is one side. But what is actually happening is there is a lot of business insights this data is bringing. Understand? With the sentiment analysis, you exactly know what TV the customer is going to buy, when to protect, when to advertise that TV, when to really send for commercial. Commercials means ads. Ads means our advertisements. Okay, when should you put them? When should the commercial should exactly come? Understand? So these kind of things are all driven by AI driven. And now what is the machine learning? What is the machine learning? So this is a field where your machines learn automatically. What I mean by that is, normally a program, what is that you will give? You give the input, and this is your program, and you get the output. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? This is the normal programming, right? Right. Okay. So, but in the machine learning, okay, see, that is what exactly it says, right? Field of study that gives computer ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So what you do, you give the input, you give the output. This machine learning will give the program. Program in the sense, not exactly the program you write. It gives a mathematical equation which satisfies this input to this output, which satisfies this input to this output at certain level of accuracy. Understand? Which means that this input and output are your past experiences, your past data, and when you get the new input data, it exactly tells what the output is. It predicts what the output is. This is one side of it, one side, the base of the your machine learning. Okay, but just keep it like that only at this point. Understand, guys? Your input data and output data will be given, and your machine will learn from this data and try to produce a program or an algorithm or an equation, okay, that exactly satisfies this input to the output. And as and when you get the new data which doesn't have the output, it will predict what the output is, because it got trained on the past data. This is past data. As it is past data, That is the reason why it has input and output. Say for example, if you walk into a college, how many are we? Say for example, we are 42 to 45 people, right? We are 46 people. So say for example, you all walked into the college one after another, and say first person joined, and second person did not join, third person did not join, fourth person joined, fifth person did not join. Like that, we are 46 people who made their decisions on that day, and every of your data is present with the college, and your height, your weight, your studies, your ranks, and your father's income and your ambitions, like that, so many are present. Okay, and what all colleges you visit before this college, like that, so many questions are there, and you answer all those things. And for every person, this is the data. And the first person joined, second person did not join, third person did not join, fourth person joined, fifth person joined, like that. All right, so depending on this data, and this is your output, and you give this to, because this is a historical data, this happened last year, okay. And machine learning will be ready, will learn like a vaccine, right? And it learns, and it will learn, and it is ready for the new data. So next year again, some new batch of 5 to 10 people walked in, and you don't know, right, whether they joined or not. So if you run them to the machine learning, the machine learning will tell exactly whether with certain probability, okay, the first person will join, or second person will join, third person will join, fifth person won't join, 10th person won't join, like that. It predicts depending on the historical data what we learn. Okay, if probably something like your income, your college fees is very high, and your father income is low, then most probably you may not join that one, right? So these kind of analysis, it will do all by itself, and keep your equation ready as and when you get a new entry walk into the college door. Depending on all these details, it will tell, hey, he's not going to join, don't worry, calling him 10 times, okay, and bothering him, okay, because you don't have the money, it doesn't matter, you call him. So it is like a win-win situation, that the resources who wants to call all the 10 people now will call only 3 people who are ambiguous, because your machine learning told that, hey, this person may or may not, the next person may or may not. So if there are two ambiguous, then you might give a shot, and say that, hey, please join this college, this is our so and so college, and very good, something like that. You understand the simple use case, because I presume most of you people are students, and so that's the reason I took that little tiny example. Guys, are you all with me? Did I confuse you with something? All good? Oh, what happened to this one? There is an eraser here. So being a data scientist, so don't think like it's like any other than any other developer. You people are very highly responsible. You people will elite club. Why in elite club? You know why? And why you people are highly responsible and the decision makers? You know why? Because your decision, you people directly work with the decision makers, like your CEOs, CMOs, marketing directors, okay, CFOs, CTOs. You make a lot of interaction with them. That is the reason why you people are in elite club. Not everybody gets that opportunity. Your visibility is very high, okay. And why you are responsible? Obviously the person who you are working with is a responsible person. Am I right in saying that his decision may break the company or make the company? Do you agree? Lot of employment responsibility. Do you agree with me? So that is how responsible you are. He takes the feedback from you, which means that how your machine learning model is important. You just can't say develop 9 to 5 and some model and give it to him, because if he makes on this model, he trusts you. Okay, this CEO or CMO, he trusts you. Once the person of that category is trusting you, means how responsible you should be in building your model. If he builds up depending on your model output, if it tells make some decision, it may break your company and many people may lose the job. I'm just little exaggerating, but more or less you are at the on that position only, guys. You are the decision makers. You help the decision makers to make the decision whether to start a store at certain location. You can't simply say yes, go ahead and start with some crappy machine learning model, because it's a big loss to the company, right? You understand? You get your paycheck, but it is a big loss to the company, big loss to the other employees. You understand how data scientist needs to be careful. You can't simply think as a like 9 to 5. You are like a soldiers on the border. I'm not exaggerating this part, guys, because you are responsible for many jobs, other jobs too. All right. In other languages, for the website, if it is down for some time, yes, they may lose some money. Okay. And you may have some backup solutions to come up, but here it may completely break the company. Okay, they may not completely depend on you, but at least have that in mind that yes, your decisions are very important. Okay, guys. So cancer prediction, hysterectomy. This is the project which I worked. What is this project all about? These are some use cases, guys. Okay, these are some use cases which are really exciting. Okay, you believe me. Okay, what is this hysterectomy? It's a pre-cancer surgery for the women. Okay, so what happened is I heard this in one of the conference, and when why can't we predict the hysterectomy? We predict the hysterectomy of women 3 months before. 3 months before. Okay, what is the advantage of that is post hysterectomy surgery. It is a surgery, right? For anybody, surgery is means it is a complex process. Not the medication is preferred one, right? Surgery is the next level. Okay, post hysterectomy, women are suffering a lot of post hysterectomy complications, because already women might have undergone, because this happens only the women above 40. So by the time they might have already undergone two surgeries for the kids. Okay, and this will be the third surgery. So it's like you try to be in my position and feel it. Okay, it is like you are giving a good life to the people who if you can predict 3 months advance, the people will call. Who will call? The insurance company. I was working with Humana. The insurance company will call them and say that, hey, probably can you get down to the lab and get yourself tested for hysterectomy? It seems like you are prone to hysterectomy. Why don't you come down to the lab and get it tested? If they can come down to the lab and get it tested, and if it is positive, they can be treated on medication. They don't need to undergo the surgery. That's it. When you save someone from going to the surgery, you are saving their rest of the life from the post hysterectomy surgical complications, right? So that gives a lot of satisfaction to you, right? That gives a lot of satisfaction to you. It can happen to anybody, your sister, our mother. It can happen to anybody. So these kind of things changes your life. So it's not that you people are highly paid. Yes, okay. You people are responsible. Yes, definitely responsible. This is also social cause. Okay, there is some satisfaction also in the job. Yes, I'm making some difference. Detect some model or build some model to detect that farmers the diseases of the plants. If you can do that one, you may save a lot of farmers' lives, right, guys? Okay, so please be responsible, also be sensible. So this is not your 5 to 9 to 5 job, right? Okay, see some kick in that. You understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, if you do this, if you think like this, it will be boring after 1 or 2 years, right? So if you see it this way, and which is true, right, which is true, you will have enjoy the work. You'll definitely enjoy the work. You're bringing the change in somebody's life, sitting in front of the computer. Okay, so what is the commercial side of it? The less surgeries means less hits to the claims. Less claims means the insurance companies will save some money, right? So that is what it is. And XPO Logistics is another logistics company where we did some NLP, and we predict to what extent the stock has to be refilled before the Thanksgiving. What all things we have to refill before the before the Thanksgiving high peak times. Not only that one, we will also analyze at what location in the warehouse the fast moving items needs to be placed, so that the items can be picked up very fast and put it in the trucks. And not only that one, we also analyze, and we did some OR, operational research, and predicted, not just a prediction, it is like optimization, where we say that the truck has to follow the routes depending on the stock, what is that is put on the truck. Because if the stock is put from Chicago to like Louisville, where I stayed, so what is the best route, and how optimized he has to, which optimized route, what is the best route where the gas price, the petrol price is less. And while filling the truck also, we analyze that what kind of areas of the load that has to be put onto the truck. So there are many things that comes into the picture, and automated, everything is automated. Okay. And 7-Eleven gas station, it is not a complete project. One of my friend was working, and they were looking for a fully automated gas station. When I say gas station, our petrol bunks. So they have to analyze how the whether there are any failures. In US, nobody comes and fill the gas except some states. You have to get down and you have to put the petrol in your this one in your car. Okay. So fully automated in the sense, if you are not placing the pump properly back onto that one, there may be some leakages, and due to extreme weather conditions, some pipes may break and all, right? So those things, using the sensors, using high IoT sensors, high IoT devices like Snapdragon and all, they were predicting these kind of things. They want to predict these kind of things with the huge data. Okay, understand how important it is. And landing gear failure prediction. You understand what this one is? So when the flight takes off, right, your both the legs closes, right? Okay. When it is landing, the both legs opens. Okay. Opens back. And sometimes that landing gear failures, that legs won't open, and it's a big crash. Okay. You being a data scientist, if you are given a job of prediction, this one, okay, guys, Ashwant, Manish, do you think are you people are as responsible as pilot? Your model should be as responsible as pilot while working on this project. Do you agree with me, Ashwant? Others, right? You are no different from the pilot. So this is what I'm trying to say. You are responsible, very responsible. It is not just 9 to 5, guys. Okay, it is very exciting job. Okay, very exciting job. Okay, and while working, please keep these things in mind. Okay, if you don't, and the challenge here is how many flights collapse or crash because of this reason? Very rare, right? Okay, once in 100,000, or probably one in 1 million, 1 in 1 million, right? It's not a regular thing. So the data you get is very little. So how challenging it is to predict something with the little data, very little data of events happening. Yes, so it is very responsible job. Okay. And Fukushima nuclear disaster also, this is an extreme failure of the people who worked on that project, and they predicted that nothing is going to happen next for the next 1300 years. Okay, within 100 years, the nuclear reactor failed and many people died. Okay, so this is one of the historical failure. So when you predict these kind of things, extremely responsible. Don't think that you did something as oh okay, today it's a production life, okay, I'm good and let's have a party. Okay, it's not like that. Your many lives are in your hands. Driverless cars, NLP, natural language processing, and helping small businesses, helping small business solutions. Oh, come on. Okay, these are all your can be your use cases. Okay, right guys? Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, just give me 1 second, just have small break. Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, I'm there. I just went on small. I told you. Just give me a minute. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, to the AI market, we have a really good focus. Uh, on some surveys, they told that it will be a $5.83 billion in 2021, and we are um, in 2021 to 3.309 by 2026. So it is not very far. We are right across the corner. Within the next 5 years, is going to become huge market. Okay, which is with the CAGR of 39.7 compound annual growth rate, right? So according to the Accenture also, they are predicting it will be very huge by 2035, $957 billion. So it is growing exponentially. If you see, it is growing multiples and multiples. Okay. So and depending on that one also, our government also introduced some of the programs, but India is lagging a lot. Okay, so we are lagging a lot with respect to China and Japan and US, obviously. So PM Modi has in 2020, in the rise 2020, what did he do is he started a new program called Airawat. AI Rawat seems like. Okay, so it is like AI Rawat, Airawat. I mean, what it means is with the collaboration of different chip manufacturing companies or microprocessors manufacturing company, we are going to develop a lot of supercomputers, which helps in a lot of AI processings. Okay, we have very less AI computers. Okay, India has just two, only two. Okay, China has 226, and and the US has 113. Okay, so you can understand how much scope you have from this. Okay, did I miss anything? I think yeah, we are at the 10th spot among the countries filing the AI related patent. So we are not even third or fourth. Okay, we are at 10th position. So everybody has a scope here. Please understand and be responsible and see what best we can do. Okay, and these all supercomputers, what we are discussing about AI Rawat, they are trying to implement in the IITs and IIS, and they collaborate with the young entrepreneurs like you people. And if you got an idea, you can get the location and proper mentorship from these all incubators that are in different IITs and IIMs or AIMs. Okay, and that IISc and IITs, and see that your idea can be matured and I mean can convert into a product. Understand? So this is what 11 million job openings by 2026, which is a huge amount, which is 46% increase. Here, this year itself, we need close to 90 lakhs. Oh, last year. Okay. Sorry, not 90 lakhs, 90,000, close to a lakh of data science positions vacant. This year it is more actually. Probably it is going to increase more next year. So this Harvard Business Review, not today, and 8 years back itself, they announced that data science is the best career. Okay, so now we are seeing the fruits of it, but Harvard has predicted it 8 years back itself. Okay, so how to become a data scientist? One of my suggestion: start loving your data. You have to love the data. Data has to talk to you. You can't get bored of the data. Basically, when you see the unstructured data or the data you don't know anything about it, what you feel? You feel very bored, right? So yeah, you should start loving the data. Then only, but to start loving the data, you need some science like the statistical knowledge and many other knowledge you may need to really, when you look at the data, yes, okay. Otherwise, it's like a Greek and Latin. You don't like anything out of it. If you know Greek and Latin, then you will start loving, right? It is exactly the same thing. If you don't know anything about the data, you feel like you're lost somewhere, right? If you know how to tame it, how to tame that horse, okay, then it will be easy. Start loving mathematics. Mathematics is crucial. I don't say you have to be like masters in the mathematics, but you should have that sense. Okay, you should have that kind of interest on mathematics, some kind of interest. Okay, and start loving the algorithms. Why? Because if it may not need for every day-to-day activity, but sometimes you may have to tune your algorithms. Okay, so you should know what is going on with the algorithm at the back end. That helps you. and good training and mentorship, which um, technology for all can provide you. And start following the LinkedIn. You will see a lot of great connections out there. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah, that is the best place. I'll take you now. So this is the one, technology for all. They, yeah, I will provide my LinkedIn. I'll provide my LinkedIn at the end of the session. Okay, so this technology for all, they are with the intention, as Sandesh was telling, there was the intention to reach this technology to everyone, not just not to keep it as an expensive, unreachable feat, because this one is very expensive course, right? PFA. So with that intention, before I go there, are you all people clear with what all things? See, it is not that you're not good at while we are talking, okay, but you may have to have that interest and try to learn according to the training. Some of the, not everything is also needed. You may need your calculus, you may need your derivatives calculus and matrix and linear regression, and that's probability is another thing. Okay, understand? Clear, guys? Did I answer your questions? Okay, any other questions before I move here? Okay, anybody? Yeah, so this technology for all, they had very good intentions. They have very good intention that to make the technology available for everyone who wants to get into the data science. Okay, and with good knowledge, not compromising anywhere. That is important, right? It is not that something is just not. Okay, every part of your yeah, every part of your curriculum, or what is needed for a data scientist, is being covered. Okay, but again, I'm not exaggerating things. There are few things that your industry has to be, you have to do your industry. Okay, say for example, if you talk about R, SAS, probably it is not covered, but sometimes you may have to do your own research or work, when you're talking about data science. But mostly your data science is covered with your Python and scikit-learn, pandas and all, what is very well taught. And your other accessories like SQL, Flask, which is your microservices, and your web scraping, those all things are also covered. We'll go through that one. Okay, and your deep learning is also very nicely covered in this session. Okay, just give me 1 second, please. Okay, 1 second, only 1 second. And those all things, I think they will reach you. And this is my LinkedIn profile. If someone is interested, you can follow me or join me on the LinkedIn. Okay, yeah. So right, so let's go ahead and see. So these are all very good at deep level parts that are enough for you to get into or land yourself in the um, data science career. What is a Jupyter notebook? It is an IDE where you write the code. J is for Julia, PY is for Python, PYT is for Python, R is for R. Okay, so you can code anything. We code Python on this one, and you can see about this course, or you can read this one, and complete online program where you can do your course at your comfort, and 120 plus hours of live lectures, and 60 plus hours of live hands-on, 100 plus hours of assignment and projects, which is very huge. 100 plus hours of assignment and projects. I mean, it's a big good time of good investment, right? Good time you invest. 10 plus mini projects and 3 plus major projects. The mini projects and major projects, this itself covers all the things what you learned so far will be revised once to you, and one huge capstone project. Okay, understand? And these are all different tools that are very much sufficient for you to be take a launch of your data science career. Okay. And everything of this one is covered. We'll go through those things. Okay, we'll go through those things. So how much is this? Total 15 hours, just an introduction to the modules, web scraping and packages, and mathematical essentials. I think someone asked that question, right? So these are the essentials: linear algebra and statistics. Those are the essentials, and the probability will also be covered as part of the statistics. And the statistics means it's a probability, right? Okay, so we'll cover those ones. So you have to get your hands dirty. Obviously, the NumPy. This is little advanced Python. NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Cbun, and visualization, EDA, exploratory data analysis, union, bivariant, and multivariant analysis. The mini project will be done after these things. So it is 20 hours, total of 20 hours, which is good. So 10 days, complete 10 days. Okay, and linear regression, logistics, KNN, and these are all your core machine learning algorithms, which are based out of your scikit-learn. This one, where is that? Yeah, this one, scikit-learn, and Pandas, and NumPy, and Matplotlib, and Cbun. And these all things falls under your machine learning. Means you use these all things to implement these machine learning algorithms. Okay, and when it comes to deep learning, and obviously you have NLP also. You see this? You have NLP, natural language processing, OpenCV, computer vision, right? ANN, CNN, RNN. Okay, understand this, guys. So everything in this one will be covered when you are in the deep learning, and mostly your TensorFlow and Keras are the new things that comes into picture. And AWS, of course, AWS and Docker and Heroku, these are all your cloud and deployment methods, right? So this will come for anything when you want to deploy. If you want to deploy in cloud, AWS cloud, then you use this one. If you want to deploy on Salesforce one, the Heroku is the for Salesforce, and the Dockers are container kinds of things, where this is called Dockers and container system, where you can put all those different packages and send it to these environments. Okay, you learn all those things. Okay, so these are your high level data science for Python, guys. How to install, what is Python, hello world in Python, Python versus other languages, indentation, and yeah, what are the different data types, and what are the control flow and decision statements, functions and modules. These all things will be covered here. Okay. How to understand this underscore name and all. Okay, those all things will be all. See, what you have to understand is from here to here, it is a basic Python. Your OOPS concepts, functions. Anyone who wants to learn the Python has to learn these things. But when it comes to I will cover that one. I think we have it down below. And then you need your version controlling, which is your Git and Flask framework. What is a Flask? It is a backend service that where you write your microservices. This will take the heavy lifting between your front end and the back end databases. Okay. So all Git operations, what you do, code commit, how do you do version? What is version controlling? Is it practically possible to learn Python in 10 hours? Python learning in 10 hours is not possible, but teaching to the extent where it clearly frames a good launch for you is possible. Okay, so if you take that as a complete base and you can do your work. So we cover everything with examples. Okay, and you can clearly understand that in 10 hours, but to become a perfect in Python, you have to put some industry. That is where your assignments and case studies, right? I don't know whether they mention about the LMS, learning management system, comes into picture. Okay, and when I talk about Python, I'm not talking about advanced Python, and it is not 10 hours, it is 15 hours. Okay, advanced Python is here, this is here. So there are two Pythons, which this advanced Python is for your machine learning. Okay, machine learning and deep learning. This one is simple Python. Yes, it is possible, but definitely as I told you, you have to have your industry. You have to work more on it. Okay, and there will be TA support all the time. Whenever you are working, he answers your questions. In class, I can answer your questions. And web application development, in introducing to client server Flask web framework, basic routing, dynamic routing, introduction to HTML forms, Jinja templating, template inheritance, and Flask WTF forms. All those things will be covered here. Okay, introduction to the cloud, Heroku deployment. We discussed about this, right? So what is a cloud? And introduction, again, not everything about cloud. Introduction to the cloud. Okay, Heroku deployment and AWS deployment will be taught. Introduction to containerization, and Dockers. Okay, so what is this? How do you make your packages and send them to the production environment? Now statistics and probability, very good and important concepts, and your data analysis with Python. This is what I told, right? Advanced Python, NumPy. What is NumPy? It is a numerical Python. How to do all your numeric operations. Okay, that is your Python. Okay, that is your advanced Python. Clear, guys? Any questions so far before I move ahead? What is meant by open source? See, that is what I am trying to say. Don't run behind, like there is a plethora of information. Like as I told to many people, it is like a IAS. When you are preparing IAS, everything you see looks like a material to you. Okay, but you need to choose it. That is where this we come into picture. Okay, we give the information that is right to you with a very pruned and tuned curriculum. Okay, so if you talk about anything, you will have hundreds of operations. Okay, all they needed? No, only the things that are practically needed are important. I according to me, the doubts will be resolved whenever you get a question in the class. Okay, and but if you get a questions of the class, your TA will be there, or else I will be available to you in the next class. We can discuss that. Okay, that is how that is the style I move on. Okay, great questions, guys. Great questions. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so data manipulation with pandas. So which means that whatever is written over there, ultimately you learn pandas. What is pandas? It is like your kind of your tabular representation of all your data, and very easy and flexible in terms of processing. In terms of processing the data, you can see the data visually very nicely, and you can see parts of the data, and you can modify a specific parts of the specific features of that whole data set. Okay, so in that one you'll have all the things, creating an array, everything will be there, everything related to pandas will be taught here. Okay, and data manipulation with pandas obviously, and data visualization with matplotlib. So the what is matplotlib and plotly and seaborn, these are all the different visualization techniques that are used it while you are working with the Python and Jupyter Notebook and scikit-learn. So when you are moving towards your data science, without data analysis and visualization, you can't move anything to your machine learning. Okay, so your data has to be analyzed, proper EDA has to be done and properly cleansed, depending on that EDA, you have to make some decisions, and then only that data will be given to the machine learning algorithm. Otherwise, your machine learning algorithm may give out wrong results. Okay, understand? Clear, guys? So exploratory data analysis is part of these things. Once you do data visualization, once you have the exploratory data analysis knowledge, then only your visualization things, whatever you're seeing, depending on that one, you can make some decisions. Okay, so whatever you're seeing may not be the same once before you learn the EDA and after you learn the EDA. Okay, once you learn the EDA, you see that plot in a different view. Before EDA, you won't see that plot in a different view. Okay, in that view. So there are different views that EDA will let you see that plot. Depending on that, your data can be understood. So what is univariant analysis? What is bivariant analysis? Which means that how bivariant means like how two features are related to each other, or what is that how they are correlated to each other. These kind of things comes into the picture. Regex, regular expressions, very important, right from your web scraping to your NLP. While you are doing NLP, you use regex. While you are doing your web scraping, you use regex. What is regex? A scripting kind of thing, which is used to extract certain information. In short, the word I used is exactly true. It is information extraction. Okay, very important. Like when you check your Google with a certain string, all the information will be extracted, right? So that at the back end there will be some regex, not everything. Okay, some regex will be the one of the key thing that will be using which it extracts the data. Then there are a lot of algorithms that comes into the picture, your NLP algorithms like ngram, ngram and all. Depending on that one, your information extraction works. Introduction to web scraping. Why do you need web scraping? You go to some website to collect the data. Okay, so you go to some website, scrape that website, and get the data. Web scraping is not legal, but there are some sites which allow us. We use those sites to get the data and web scraping it. However, in industry, they you say, for example, if you work with Amazon, if you are in the web scraping department, they ask to web scrape your website only, Amazon website, to understand how the sentiments of the people happens, right? So in that case, it is a legal thing. So that's where your web scraping application comes into picture. Okay, or else if they want to see any security threats, then also they may ask you for web scraping. See, that is a good point. Understanding the things is a good point, very important. But I would recommend you get into the English. Okay, because you have to talk to the people who mostly from the Western countries, right? And I suggest you, if you are not very comfortable with English, crack that one first. Okay, get comfortable with English, because that is inevitable. You have to work with the people. You may, I mean, most of the times you may work with the people, or in your company also you may have to, as I told you, like, you should be able to talk to a great level of people sometimes, right? So it's expected that. But to understand the concept, yes, but I don't have any idea. If you want, I can make some videos for you. Okay. Hema Krishna. Sorry. Okay, and project on web scraping will be given a very good analysis. So when you talk about this project, and what it is not just on web scraping, it starts from the top, like where what all things you learn, pandas, numpy, EDS, everything comes under picture except machine learning. By this time you are able to do the project on everything till what you learned till this point. So which means that you are ready for the machine learning. So your data is ready to feed into the machine learning algorithm. But in this project, you don't run a machine learning algorithm. That's it. That is the difference. That's it. Okay, guys. Okay. So now you are moving to machine learning. Okay. Understand like how the dots are connecting to each other. Yeah, I think everything will be shared to you. Everything will be shared to you. Then you go with machine learning, why we need AL and those all things. Yes, of course, they will be given some basics. And then you go with some linear algebra, y is equal to mx plus c, your straight line equation to some of the fundamentals of your matrix and all. Then goes to your linear regression. Okay, then goes to your k nearest neighbor. So what is the linear algebra? All these things, the dot product, Euclidean distance, Manhattan distance, and the projections. Okay, so those all things like your matrix and the distance calculations, which are important in some of the instances when you go with the KNN. Okay, in these kind of things. And so k nearest neighbor, which is called most widely called KNN, which are lazy algorithms. And then logistic regression. It need not be in the same order, guys. Sometimes you go to your logistic regression, you go up and down. Okay, performance measurements of the models. Why it is important? You should be able to know which model is better than the other models, which is, then only you will go with the better model, right? All the time. Clear? So that is the reason you implement the accuracy, confusion matrix, and all these are all very, very important to measure the performance of your classification models. How many models are there? Regression, classification, and those all things will be supervised, unsupervised. Every topic will be covered to you. Very nice. Then goes with SVM, support vector missions, a very popular algorithm in terms of both classification and what are the different kernels, what are the kernel tricks, what is RBF and why it is used, when it is used. Those all things will be taught in case of SVM. Okay, and decision trees. Decision trees are very, very, very important algorithm. That is a core for your machine learning, the upcoming machine learning algorithms. Okay, and model tuning and cross validation. What is a there is something called k-fold cross validation and stratified cross validation. Which class, what they mean by that, and why do we need those? Okay, and how to deal with when the data is not too, when you don't have a lot of data, how to deal with that. Those all things will be taught over here. Okay, and coming to your ensemble algorithms, bagging and boosting. What is bagging? Bootstrapping and aggregation, a very important concept. And nowadays there are many awards that are won using these kind of ensemble algorithms. What is ensemble? It is a combination of multiple algorithms. The above, it is like each algorithm you are using it, you are using for your prediction, right? Here it is, you are going in a multiple mode, like a hybrid. Okay, we call it hybrid, right? Combination of this one plus combination of that one and plus combination of that one. So ensemble are the combination of different algorithms for a better results. Now coming to the unsupervised algorithm. What is unsupervised algorithm? You won't have a target. Okay, the algorithm will itself make something called clusters. Depending on those clusters, you will see what those clusters talking to you. Understand? So understand in the sense, I know, I mean, it is it's not that everything you have to understand, but think that you are not predicting anything. You frame the clusters depending on different distances. Okay, and you will find some similarity in each cluster. Okay, understand? Say boys, girls, girls. So like that, they form the cluster. The algorithm itself forms the clusters. That is the beauty of it. Okay, you don't tell can you predict whether he's a boy or girl, something like that. It's a prediction, apple or orange. It's not like that. So it is the algorithm itself predicts and forms the clusters. Okay, principal component analysis, very important and very highly mathematical and very beautiful algorithm, because used in dimensionality reduction, because in the real time whatever you deal, they are all of with high dimensions. Okay, so yes, all the things are covered here. Regression, classification, clustering, and recommendation engines. Recommendation engines are association algorithms like a priori algorithms and all. Okay, what is recommendation? When you buy a computer, they recommend you the mouse and CPU, not the keyboard, right? So those kind of algorithm, how the system knows about it. Now comes to the computer vision. Okay, which means that deep learning is important. What is neural network? What is your frameworks? Frameworks means your TensorFlow and Keras. What they do, they make your heavy coding very lighter side. Okay, lighter side, your heavy coding is onto the lighter side, and they take the heavy lifting, and your coding number of lines of code will be very simple. Before TensorFlow, when we used to code, it was used to be a little challenging. We used to write lots of lines of code. Now it is no more needed. Okay, everybody is shifting to either to PyChart or TensorFlow Keras. Okay, guys, and even Keras is the next level. TensorFlow is also a little challenging, like coding before 2.0 version. They used to get the graphs and all. Okay. I know I'm just pushing a lot of information. Just don't worry. Try to feel that one. Don't try to capture everything. It's not needed, because everything will be captured or iterated to you very nicely, articulatedly. So yeah, so everything is very nicely orchestrated. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. AI and computer vision. When it comes here, your CNN and RNN and ANN, everything will be taught here. So I think CNN is separate, because we have, I think VGG 19 is also there, but most popular is VGG 16. Yeah, everything like what is padding, what is a stride, everything will be taught to you in this course culture. Yeah, that is pretty much it when it comes to and there is another thing called RNN. RNN is very important for NLP also. Okay, without deep learning, you don't go to NLP. Never go to NLP without deep learning knowledge, because you need RNN knowledge in the NLP. CNN is not that needed, still it is needed. but not that widely. RNN is very nice, very much needed for. And this tokenization stop words, using the NLTK, term frequency and inverse document frequency, word to vector, which in short, the high level of it is called word embedding. Doc to vector and word to vector are two things, and that falls under word embedding. And POS, tagger, and named entity recognition, those all things will be covered very nicely. So I think this will go a little bit up than this one. Okay, even though it is put like this, RNNs will be covered before your NLP. Okay, so the BET algorithm is nowadays used in NLP also, very widely. It is a framework, basically like a TensorFlow and Keras, the way we are talking. So for NLP also, BET is a bidirectional. I could not recall the complete full form. It is bidirectional. Okay, it goes in two ways. So that is the reason why your predictions are very perfect with respect to natural language. Okay, and GANs and all things will be covered here. And a deep learning project, and obviously you need SQL and data visualization tool Tableau. So this will be introduction, and this, because Tableau itself is a vast science, so you can go with the good understanding of the Tableau and some projects. And SQL for data science, very important. So once this is covered, you should be good. Okay, you should be good, and you should be geared up and ready with all your weapons to launch your career in the data science. So there is nothing called that is this is missed and that is missed. And there are few things like R and all. You can get some knowledge on that one, just in case if they ask. But mostly, if you are into one thing, they don't ask the other thing, and depending on their expectations. Okay. Okay, guys. Any questions for me? Did I make my point clear, or did I move fast, or is it perfect for you? So it's not like what kind of projects is, there are few mini projects which are close to real time, and there are projects which are actual real time projects. You work on your what is that site called, cars.com, and you work on a site called um, this one, the other e-commerce site, like Amazon. What is that we have? Flipkart and all. Okay. Yes, no prior knowledge of coding is very much needed, because Python is a simple language. You can learn it, but again, you have to do your hard work. I stress that a lot. You have to do your hard work a little bit more than the person who knows the programming before. Yeah, the syllabus will be sent to you. Yes. Yeah, syllabus will be sent to you. That's what I'm saying. Other than that one, please let me know if you guys have any questions. SQL will be taught up to advanced level for sure. Okay, but Tableau is not up to advanced level, close to the advanced level, but not a complete Tableau. I don't recommend, because you are in a data science stream. The Tableau is for your information. If you want to get into data visualization, data analytics, then it is a different thing. Okay, I think those things will be discussed with you. Yeah. Okay, the cost and all. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so if you people have no questions, can I take off for the day? Hope I made all my points very clear and I gave you good guidance of what to do to become a data scientist and how responsible you are and how to make yourself. Yes, yes, certificate will be definitely be provided. Yes, how to make yourself uh, excited with the things which you are doing. Okay, and if possible, help to the society by developing some social models. Okay, thank you, Shripad. Okay, guys. Okay, so it is 8. I'll take off for the day, and I wish you all the best. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Thank you. You have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.